Hey, it's Marie Forleo from marieforleo.com, and welcome to How to Get Anything You Want. 3 strategies to create the courage and confidence to build your dreams on your terms. Now, if you're already a student of my work, welcome back. This will give you a chance to deepen your mastery of the fundamentals on what it takes to create a life that you truly love. If you're new to my work, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so thrilled to have you here, and I hope you'll find this a fun and useful introduction. If you enjoy this training, check out our award-winning show, Marie TV. We have hundreds of free episodes online over at marieforleo.com, and each one is filled with actionable, heart-centered wisdom. And I have to tell you, our in-depth training programs are even better. Now, I'm not sure what brought you here today, whether things are amazing for you right now and you want to take it to the next level, or maybe you're in a tough spot at the moment. Maybe you're overwhelmed or exhausted from going nonstop for way too long, or maybe you've gotten knocked off your game by some setbacks and disappointments. No matter what brought you here or what you're looking to accomplish, there is one thing I want you to know. It's that you are here for a reason. Here, meaning listening to this audio right now, and yes, in the meta sense, meaning here on the planet. God, the universe, Smurf fairies, whatever you believe in, did not make any extra people just for the heck of it. No person has or ever will have the unique blend of talents and strengths and perspective and gifts that you have. You are a one-time event in the universe, my friend, and you were born with an innate power to create change, both in your life and in the lives of others. This is not something outside of yourself. It's not something that you can buy or acquire. This is something you already have within you right this very moment. So I promise that no matter where you're at right now, whether you've enjoyed a certain level of success and you're ready for your next evolution, or things are messy and they're painful and you really need to make a big change, what you'll learn in this workshop will help, and I guarantee it. Now, the reason I can say that so confidently is because I've spent the last 17 years of my life figuring out what it really takes to turn dreams into reality, what it really takes to live a deeply meaningful and creative and fulfilled life, a life where you feel genuinely connected to yourself and to the people that you love, a life where you really feel that you're doing the work you were born to do and that you're making the difference you were born to make. And over the years, through our online show, Marie TV, our weekly newsletter, the talks I've given, my writing, and our training programs, I've been able to connect with millions of people from every corner of this beautiful planet, from every walk of life, who, just like you and me, want those same things too. So while I have a lot to share with you today, I do want to make something really clear. Even though personal and professional development is what I do for a living, I am no sage on the stage. Let me tell you, I like to think of myself more as a guide on the side. Yes, I have years of experience, and I'm very proud of the results that I help others create, but I never pretend to have all the answers. Very far from it, in fact. I have hard days, I have down days, and I make mistakes too, just like everybody else. But what I am more than anything else is a lifelong student and a practitioner. I've always been fascinated with human potential ever since I was a little girl, and I always have stacks of books by my side. And in my heart, I got to tell you, I love seeing people win. And I'm Italian. I'm from New Jersey. I am wired to communicate. So talking about things that I'm passionate about, things that I learn or discover that can actually help other people live a great life, this is in my DNA. It's what I was born to do. Speaking of which, you might be wondering about my background. So I grew up in New Jersey. My parents are amazing human beings, very hardworking, very humble. My mom grew up in the projects of Newark, New Jersey. My dad is a second-generation Italian-American. And in fact, I was the first person in my family to ever go to college, and that was a very big deal. When I decided to start my own business shortly after school, I didn't have a trust fund, I didn't have investors, and I did not have any savings. Like many people are after college, I was tens of thousands of dollars in debt, but I worked nonstop, often 7 days a week, multiple jobs at a time, from bartending to waiting tables to cleaning toilets. I mean, you name it. I did anything I had to do because I was determined to get myself on solid financial ground and figure out a way to do the work that I felt like I was born to do, no matter how hard it was or how long it took me. And I'm very proud that today I run a socially conscious company that reaches millions of people in 195 countries and territories around the globe. I've had the honor of working with some of my personal heroes like Oprah Winfrey, Richard Branson, and Tony Robbins. And I'm also proud that our work measurably improves the lives of others because with every product or program that we sell, we direct a portion of our profits to help solve some of the world's greatest challenges, both here in the U.S., where I'm from, and across the globe. All this to say that I've built my life and career from the ground up. And over the years, I've learned a few things about what works and what doesn't in this life. And this training really is a chance for me to pass along a few of those key lessons in the hopes that it will be of service to you. Because I know with every fiber of my being, every cell in my body, that no matter what you want to create or experience in your life, you can do it. Yes, I know there are certain laws of physics and of time and space that perhaps we can't defy quite yet. But beyond that, there is an enormous untapped well of potential within you. And I think part of the reason you're listening right now is that you know it. You know you've got more in you, more love, more creativity, more joy. And I'll bet you've barely scratched the surface of your highest creative potential. And there's something else I want you to know too, and this is very important. If there's any area of your life right now that's not working out so well, whether it's your finances or your career or your business or maybe your family or your love life or even your health, guess what? I want you to be happy about it. That's right. Be happy that some area of your life might be a little bit of a hot mess at the moment. And no, I am not crazy. Okay, well, I am a little crazy, but I am not insane for making that statement. Here's what I mean. When something's not working in your life and you're aware enough to face that truth, call it what it is, and this is the big thing, to proactively look for a way to resolve it or evolve it or transform it, you are already on the path to victory, my friend. That we get a little hashtag winning. But seriously though, I want you to get happy about it because as long as you follow the strategies in this training, as long as you stay connected to your heart, to your intuition, and you stay open and willing to learn and to change, you will see growth. Because as Thomas Edison so wisely said, one of my favorite quotes here, discontent is the first necessity of progress. That's right. Some form of unhappiness or dissatisfaction is actually good. It means progress is about to happen. It means you're about to learn. You're about to grow. So if any area of your life is either majorly effed up right now or could just use a little tiny tweaking, I want you to be happy about it because it's a good thing. It means you're aware, you're alive, you're still breathing, so you still have the opportunity to make a change. Now, one last thing to mention. As we move ahead, I want you to keep a watchful eye and ear out for one destructive little thought that likes to pop up in all of our minds from time to time. Now, this little thought, I got to tell you, it can keep you stuck, it can keep you broke, it can keep you alone and miserable, and that is not who you are. That one thought you have to watch out for is this. I know this already. You know what? I know all this already. Come on, Marie. I want to learn how to get anything I want. So tell me something I don't know already. Listen up. Anytime you hear yourself saying, I know this already, you have got to stop and check yourself before you wreck yourself. I want you to immediately switch that destructive thought into a powerful question and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? Because you can always learn one of two things, right? First, you can learn a new refinement or a new perspective on something you're already familiar with. Or, more likely, you'll see that the thing you think you know, you're not fully applying in your life. because knowing something conceptually or intellectually is very, very different than embodying something, living and breathing and experiencing something consistently. Here's a great litmus test for you. If you don't have the tangible, concrete, indisputable results in your life from what you think you already know, then guess what? You probably really don't know it yet. You're probably not living it yet. You haven't mastered it yet. And when you stay humble and ask the question, what can I learn from this? You're going to train your brain to look for new answers and insights that'll move you ahead. So I challenge you to take this practice on, not just for the next few minutes that we're together, but for the rest of your life. I promise it'll help you stay open and receptive to invaluable lessons that are sitting right in front of you. All right, now let's get started. I want you to grab your journal and a pen and let's do this thing. So today you're going to learn 3 strategies that'll help you cultivate the courage and the confidence to build your dreams on your terms. You're also going to learn about the big difference between 2 4-letter words that can make or break your success. I'm going to give you one of my go-to writing exercises to use whenever you want to bring one of your big ideas to life, but you're a little stuck on how to move forward. Finally, we're going to talk about why the F word is essential to creating results, and I got to say, it is probably not the F word that you're thinking of. So the reason I'm so excited to share all of this with you today is because so many of us are grossly misinformed about how to create the life we really want, and it disempowers us. Without realizing it, we hold ourselves back. We put limitations on our joy, our happiness, and the difference that we were born to make. People who are unaware of these ideas often mistakenly view themselves as victims, blaming other people or circumstances or, falling back on excuses like, I don't have enough time, or I don't have enough money, or it's the economy, or it's my upbringing, or it's where I live. In other words, they blame outside forces for the current state of their lives. And to be clear, yes, there is an enormous amount of injustice and inequality in our world that we need to work passionately to fix. And yes, there are external circumstances that create some major challenges for us. They can knock us on our butts. However, we have to stay clear on our own power. We must learn to focus the vast majority of our time and our life energy on that which we can control, and focus less of our time and our energy on that which we cannot. Because the truth is this, we all know, or we've read about, people who were born with every possible advantage, the best circumstances, access to money, education, opportunities, and yet those people don't always turn out to be joyful or successful or contributing members of society, right? Some of them end up in really tragic, dark places, struggling with addictions. They're maybe in and out of jail, and they wind up generating a lot of pain, both for themselves and for other people. And I'm sure we've all heard about other people who seem to find a way to succeed against all odds. They overcome unthinkable challenges. They work past the most devastating and horrific hardships, and somehow they figure out a way to rise up and create an extraordinary life filled with meaning and inspiration and achievement. So it begs the question, what's the difference between the two? What makes that second group, the people who often start off with nothing or less than nothing, with all the odds stacked against them, what makes those kind of people succeed? And more importantly, what can we learn from them, and how can we practice it in our own lives? Well, here's one thing. They all start with strategy number 1, which is really step 1 in any creative process. You have got to decide what you want. So that is strategy 1, and I want you to write it down. Decide what you want. I know it seems painfully obvious, But in order to get anything you want, you have to decide exactly what that is. Because clarity equals power, my friend. The more clear and specific you are about exactly what you want to create or what you want to experience or what you want to achieve, the faster and easier it will be for you to make it happen. This is all about knowing your outcome. Knowing your result, having a clear vision for exactly where you want to go. For nearly 2 decades, I've been telling people I can help you create virtually any result you want. But first, you gotta tell me what that result is. I may not have all the answers, but I live with 100% certainty that I can find them or I can create them no matter what. Now, in just a few minutes, you're gonna write this down for yourself. But for now, I just want you to start thinking about it. What's one thing that you really, really want? If you could make any significant change in any area of your life and create any outcome you set your heart to, what would that be? Now, once you decide what it is that you want, here's the deal. You must fully commit to it. That's right. Listen to those words once again. You must fully commit to it. Because here's the big problem. This is how so many of us stumble. We confuse a clear, committed decision with a wish or a flimsy little, yeah, I think I want to do that. For example, I think I want to get into better shape this year. Or, I think I really want to make more money. That would be nice. Or, I would really love to travel more. That sounds good. I should get on that. Or, you know what? I wish I could be my own boss and run my own business someday. That would be pretty cool. Now, do you hear that? Do you hear how all of those statements are kind of weak and wishy-washy and non-committal? Whether we realize it or not, that's how so many of us think about and talk about the things that we say we really want. Make no mistake here. A clear decision is a powerful thing because it means you commit to a specific result, a specific outcome, and then, and only then, will everything else follow. This quote by W.H. Murray really says it perfectly. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. Now, I know that's a big, wordy quote, but in my experience, it is the truth with a capital T. So step 1 is you must decide what you want clearly and specifically and commit yourself 100,000% to that decision. Which brings me to the next thing that stops many people from moving ahead and getting what they want. Because deciding what you want means that you have to be brave and courageous about your desires long before you have any proof it's going to turn out. Look, if we're honest, most of us hold back because we want some assurances that everything's going to work out before we put ourselves out there, before we risk being vulnerable and facing criticism and rejection and, of course, possible failure. And the truth is, you will have to devote some time and some energy and perhaps even a little bit of money towards your dream, depending on what your dream is, with no guarantee it's going to turn out exactly as you hope. And naturally, that can feel like a very scary proposition, which is why most people don't take action on their dreams. They don't get what they most want. But this is how the creative process works. All progress begins with a brave decision. That means you have to decide what you want. You have to commit now before you have any proof it'll work out. You have to believe it in order to see it. In fact, let me tell you a story about a woman who made a big decision to follow what felt like an impossible dream. So this woman had an idea for a book, but as soon as she tried to get it going, her life started to fall apart. Right after she started writing, she was pulled away from her dream by the sudden death of her mom. She was devastated. Now, this writer went into a deep and dark depression, so much so that she decided the only way that she could pull herself out of this was to move and try and get an entirely fresh start. So she packed up her life, she found a job teaching English in Portugal, and she gave herself a year to try and write this book and get her life back on track. But she ran into some more problems because things didn't go quite as she planned. So not only did she completely fail to make any progress on her book idea, but she wound up falling in love and then falling out of love very quickly. And before she knew it, she was now a divorced single mom with a brand new baby girl that she had to raise on her own. Needless to say, this woman was completely overwhelmed. She left Portugal, she went back home, but she had no job, no income, no finished book, and now she had 2 mouths to feed. So yeah, she hit rock bottom. And once again, right? Because this just happened with the death of her mom. This time though, she was battling depression and she was totally struggling to figure out how to take care of her baby girl and herself. Again, this is with no money and no family and no safety net. She was barely surviving, scraping by, living off of unemployment. But here's the thing. No matter how bad things got, and they were bad, she held on to that book idea, that dream in her heart. She held on to her decision to figure out a way to write her book. So as best she could, in the spare moments that she could find, she just kept writing. And despite all the setbacks and all the obstacles and all the depression and the dark times, she just kept going, little by little, step by step. And eventually, she got a few chapters done. And that was enough for her to send out to publishers, which she did. So then, of course, months went by. Crickets, right? No feedback. And then rejection letters started to come in, and they started to pour in, and they started to pile up, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Now, this single mom, this inexperienced, unpublished writer was beginning to lose all hope, and it's understandable, right? Until one day, one little publishing house begrudgingly said yes. They said, you know what? We are willing to publish your book. But the publisher was adamant about one thing. He said, make sure you get a day job, because based on the low quality of your work, you have very little chance of making money as an author. So that single mom was none other than J.K. Rowling. And that story that she wanted to write was Harry Potter, which has now sold over, 400 million copies. And as you probably know, J.K. Rowling is the first person in human history to become a billionaire through a fiction writing career. Now, clearly, her results did not happen overnight. And like any creative endeavor, there was no guarantee that her idea would ever come to fruition at all. The only way it got done was through years of focus and consistent action and her willingness to overcome a ton of stumbles and falls. But if you look closer, you'll see this. It was the decision that she was going to write her book and the commitment to that decision, despite every difficulty that came her way, that changed her life forever. So whether you want to write a book, or you want to change your career, or you want to start or grow a business, or you want to take a trip around the world, maybe you want to save your marriage, or you want to transform your body, maybe you want to live off the grid, strategy number 1 is the same. You have got to decide what you want. And know this. The Latin root of the word decide means to cut off, meaning that a real decision is made when you cut yourself off from any other possibility than what you've committed to. Because here is the truth, my friend. You are constantly creating your reality with the universe through your thoughts, your language, your behavior, what you choose to focus on, what you choose to give your attention and energy to. the meaning you choose to assign to events and circumstances that occur in your life, the actions you take, the decisions you make moment to moment, each and every day. All of these, they are all co-creative acts with the intelligent and very responsive universe. And when you make a clear, committed decision about something you really want, you initiate the creative process from the inside out. It's almost like you pick up the phone and you place an order with the cosmos. And once you begin to take action on that decision and demonstrate that you're serious, this is the best part. The universe will bend to support you. It's just like that W.H. Murray quote, right? The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. You know this. I'm sure you got proof for it in your life. You will start meeting people who can help you get where you want to go. You'll stumble upon books and magazine articles or blog posts that contain a clue or the next step on your adventure. You'll start getting these great genius ideas in the shower seemingly out of nowhere. And let me tell you this, my friend, you would not have the dream if you didn't already have what it takes within you to make it happen. So I want you to do this now. I want you to decide what it is that you most want. Do you want to improve your career or your relationships in some specific way? Do you want to transform your finances or your happiness or your health or your fitness? What does it look like? And an important note here, you do need to be as concrete and specific as possible about what you want. If you're focused on business, you might want to double your profit over the next 12 months. If you're focused on your creativity, you might want to complete your book proposal or your screenplay within the next 90 days. Maybe you want to take more time off and travel and stop stressing out so much. So the result you want is taking 2 full months off sometime over the next year. So again, be really, really specific about the outcome that you most want. So for example, setting aside $10,000 in an emergency fund by December is way better than, I want to save some money. Taking a week of cooking classes in Tuscany is way better and more specific than, I just want to travel more. So right now, just for simplicity's sake, what I want you to do is decide one thing you really, really want. I want you to write it down. You can start with this prompt if it helps you. What I really want is blank, and then fill in the blank. Then I want you to underline it. I want you to circle it, make stars and hearts and squigglies and unicorns around it too. And then underneath what you want, here's what I want you to do next. Write down exactly why you want this. What's the reason this goal or this outcome even matters to you? What's it going to mean in your life when you make this happen? Ask yourself, how is creating this or achieving this going to change who you are as a human being? Who will you have to become in order to reach this goal? How's that going to make you feel? How is reaching this goal going to impact your work or your health or your family or the people that you love? Look in your heart right now. Be really honest with yourself. Write down everything that comes to mind. The goal here is just to uncover the deeper purpose behind what you're working to achieve. Why? Because purpose fuels persistence. The more heart and emotion that you have to back up the why you want to achieve your goal, the better. Now, here's why this is important to do. Because if you know exactly what you want and why it matters to you, you're going to be able to weather the storms and the struggles and the stumbles that you will have to face along the way. Your whys give you this rock solid foundation to come back to when things get tough. Plus, they give you the emotion and the excitement and the enthusiasm to keep going. And here's what else is cool. If you don't have or you can't come up with a strong enough, a juicy enough, compelling enough why to back up what you say you want, well, guess what? Maybe you don't really want it. Or maybe you don't really want it anymore. Maybe it's an old goal or an old dream or something that's been on your to-do list for so freaking long that you feel like you should still want it. But you know what? Maybe you don't. If you're honest, it's just not that important to you anymore. Maybe you've changed and you've evolved and you've grown and you're in a new space. So look, If you say you want something, but you can't come up with truly exciting and compelling and heart-centered reasons for wanting to do it, drop it now. Drop it like it's hot. Don't do it. Don't work on it. MoveOn.org. Go back and dig deeper. Find something you truly want. Find something that truly makes you excited and lights up your heart and gets you totally juiced about working towards. So if you haven't done it already, now is the time. I want you to pause this workshop right now. I want you to write down one specific thing you really, really want. And then underneath it, write down all of your whys, all of the reasons this idea, this goal, this dream really matters to you. Okay, I want you to stop this training and go do it now. Welcome back. Now, if you didn't pause to do the exercise, please stop and do it now. If you're driving, take the next opportunity to pull over at a rest stop and take a few minutes and do it. Because let me tell you, if you don't, you are cheating yourself. There is magic and power in writing this stuff down. And this isn't just my opinion. Research proves it. Dr. Gail Matthews, a psychology professor at Dominican University in California, she did a study on goal setting with 267 participants. Check this out. She found that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals just by writing them down. So I promise these simple ideas, they make an enormous difference. This is your life. So make the most of the time that you're investing right now. Okay? All right, good. So now that you know what you want, you know why you want it, we are moving on to strategy number 2. You ready? Strategy number 2 is eliminate excuses. This is all about breaking free from the habit of self-deception. Because the truth is that one of the biggest things that stands between you and what you want are excuses. Now look, we all have excuses that hold us back from time to time. I certainly do, you do, and nearly every human being on the planet does. That is nothing to beat ourselves up over. It's nothing to feel embarrassed about. It's just part of human nature. But here's what's cool. Once we shine a light on those excuses and really just see them for what they are, they lose their power over us. It's awesome. Then all of a sudden, you have this huge surge of freedom and clarity and energy that's available to you to move ahead. So let's start unpacking these excuses by looking at a critical distinction between 2 4-letter words that really makes or breaks your success. Those 2 4-letter words are can't versus won't. Can't versus won't. Here's what I mean. 99% of the time, whenever we say we can't do something, that word is really a euphemism for won't. Whenever we say, I can't get up and work out every day, or I can't seem to find the time to get writing done, I can't control myself, especially around food, I can't forgive her for what she's done. I can't ask for help. I can't get ahead because of where I live. Or I can't do X, Y, or Z because I can't afford it. I want you to consider that 99% of the time when you say you can't, what you really mean is you won't. And what does won't mean? Won't means that you really don't want to do something. You don't want to do what it takes. You don't want it bad enough. It's just not a priority. Now, before you disagree, just humor me for a moment, okay? What if this were accurate? If you play with this possibility and see how it might possibly be true in your life, I got to tell you, it can be incredibly freeing. In fact, if you're open to it, this one little distinction can help you begin to break free from excuses that hold you back, and it will help you reclaim your power. So, for example, if we go back to all those statements and replace can't with won't, here's what happens. Something much more truthful. I won't get up and work out every day. I won't find the time to get the writing done. I won't control myself, especially around food. I won't forgive her for what she's done. I won't ask for help. I won't get ahead because of where I live, or I won't do X, Y, or Z because I won't afford it. Now, yes, I know those aren't proper grammar, but just play with me for a minute, okay? Just really entertain the essence of this idea for just a moment. Because I got to tell you, in my own life, about 99% of the time, whenever I say I can't, the truth of what I mean is that I won't. In other words, I don't really want to. I don't want to work that hard or make the sacrifices or do what it takes or put in the effort to get that particular result. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the truth. Now, here's why this is important. Because most of the time when we humans use the word can't, we start to feel and think and behave like victims, like we're powerless and helpless against our circumstances. It's like we have no responsibility and no say in our lives. But when we use the word won't, or I'll give you some other phrases that are more grammatically correct in just a minute, we start to feel and think and behave like we're empowered, like we have agency, like we're at choice. We feel honest and aligned because we're taking full responsibility for our lives, and it's a beautiful thing. Because the truth is this: you are 100% responsible for the results that you have or you don't have in your life. You know this. It's not your parents, it's not the economy, it's not the government or society or your age or anything else. Now you might be saying, Marie, you don't know my story. So many things have happened to me that are not my fault and that are outside of my control and that I didn't choose. Or maybe you're saying, but Marie, things happen to me right now and they happen to me all the time that I have no control over. Look, I get it. I understand. And honestly, in many respects, you are right. And the point I'm making here is that no matter what happened in your past or what's happening now, when you blame others, when you don't willingly take 100% responsibility for the quality of your life, you give up the power to change it. And yes, while there's no way you'll be able to control everything that happens to you moving forward, you are nevertheless responsible for how you think, how you act, and how you feel in response to what happens. You know, this reminds me of one of my favorite ideas of all time. Life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. It's actually part of a longer quote by Chuck Swindoll where he says, "Attitude is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, money, circumstances, than failures and success, than what other people think, say, or do. It is more important than appearance, ability, or skill. It'll make or break a business, a home, a friendship, an organization. The remarkable thing is I have choice every day of what my attitude will be. I cannot change my past. I cannot change the actions of others. I cannot change the inevitable. The only thing I can change is attitude. Life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it." Pretty beautiful, right? Now, the point here that I really want you to get is that you always have more power than you think. You always have more power than you give yourself credit for. Coming back to this idea of eliminating excuses, right? Isn't it true that at some point in your life, when you really, really wanted something, when it was really important to you for whatever reason, didn't you figure out a way to make it happen? I bet you did. I bet you got resourceful, you got persuasive, you got committed, and you created results. I want you to look back in your life right now because I know in my heart you have proof for this. Flip through your mental Rolodex of your past. What's one instance where you really believed that you didn't have the time or the money or the means or whatever to make something happen, and yet you did it anyway? You know, I've got some examples from my own life. In fact, I remember back in college, I was a super dedicated and very nerdy student. So I'd get invited to parties or events or concerts or whatever, and my typical response would be, "Oh, you know what, that sounds like fun. Thank you, but no thank you. I can't go out tonight because I have a lot of studying and writing to do. I just don't have the time." And that is what I believed to be the truth. But I remember there was one particular night. where I had a huge ethics exam to study for and a big fat law brief to finish writing. Except this time, there was a really cute guy that I really wanted to date, and he invited me out to a special event. And you know what? Rather than saying, no, I don't have the time, I said yes, and I figured it out. That's right, I made the time. I studied late, I woke up early, and I got everything I needed to get done. I did not cut corners, and I went out with that cute guy because you know what? I really, really wanted to. Isn't it amazing the things that we can make happen when we've got the right motivation? Exactly. Now, there was another time early on in my career where I found out about this retreat that I really wanted to go on, and it was in South America. The big problem was, though, I didn't have the money. Plus, I was already pretty deep in debt, and I was working my tail off to get out of debt. Now, to be clear, I had seen other trips and other events that were intriguing to me, but usually I just tell myself, you know what, maybe someday I'll go, but right now I can't afford that. And that was the end of the story. That was the end of the conversation in my own mind. But there was something about this particular trip. I couldn't explain why. I just felt it. I knew in my heart that I had to figure out a way to be there. So I trusted my gut. And I went for it. I negotiated a payment plan with the retreat organizers, and I gave them my word. Look, I'm not going to let you down. I'm not going to skip out on this money. I found 2 or 3 extra side jobs. I kept working my buns off to make this trip happen because I was so committed to going. Now, it turns out that that trip is where Josh and I became a couple. Josh is my man. That was over 13 years ago. And I got to say, it was one of the most profound experiences of my life. He's one of the most incredible human beings that I've ever met, and our relationship is one of the things that I am most grateful for in this world. So I am so thankful that not only I trusted my gut hit that I needed to go on that trip, but I'm also really grateful I didn't let my I can't afford it excuse stop me from being as brave and bold and resourceful and determined as I was capable of being. Look, the bottom line is this. You will always find a way or make a way to do what you really, really want to do in this life. You just have to want it bad enough. You have to be committed enough. Don't ever let your can'ts stop you. And because I know that time and the belief that we don't have enough of it is one of the top excuses that all of us use, I want you to write this one down. If it's important enough to you, you'll make the time. If not, you'll make an excuse. I'm going to say that one more time. If it's important enough to you, you'll make the time. If not, you'll make an excuse. Like it or not, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. Truly, it's the only level playing field in all of humanity. And you are in charge of your schedule. You are in charge of your time, and you have the power to change it. And by the way, yes, we all have jobs. Many of us have multiple jobs, and we have kids and families and pets and responsibilities. But I want you to recognize that you can carve out even small amounts of time to change your life. This is about being smart and creative and resourceful. It's not about coming down on yourself or making yourself wrong. This is about getting you back in the driver's seat, baby. It's about recognizing that you get to write the story of your life. And guess what? If you don't like how this plot is unfolding, it is time to change it. So remember, strategy number 2 is eliminate your excuses, and it is time to put this insight into action. First, moving forward, I want you to notice, I want you to bring awareness to how often you say the words, I can't, when you really mean, I won't or I don't want to. So just experiment with replacing I can't with something more empowering like, I won't, I don't want to, it's not my top priority right now, I'm not willing to make the changes or do the work or make the sacrifices that would require. Now, I'm not saying that you have to say any of these things out loud or even to anyone else. The goal here is to simply expand your self-awareness, to be more honest with you, and to eliminate any excuses that you tend to use to hold yourself back. Next, what I want you to do, take a look back at what you say you most want, that one thing that you just wrote down a few minutes ago that you really want to achieve or experience or bring to life. Now, here's what you're going to do next. I want you to make a list of the top 10 excuses you will likely use to try to sabotage yourself. In other words, what stories have you told yourself in the past about why you can't get what you want? What are some of your personal greatest hits when it comes to excuses? If you're like most people, time and money are probably somewhere on that list. Now, here's the deal. I want you to have fun with this. Don't make it heavy. Don't make it serious. Don't beat yourself up. Remember, we all have excuses that hold us back from time to time. It's just part of being human. So why not look at them? Why not debunk them in advance before they totally derail you? And once you've got your top 10 excuses list, and I want you to have fun doing that, go back and one by one, you're going to write down 2 things about each excuse. First, I want you to write down exactly why this excuse is total BS, because on some level you know it is. And then second, write down what you're now willing to do instead to bring your dream or goal to life. In other words, how you plan to eliminate and neutralize that excuse on a practical level to get where you most want to go. So I want you to pause this workshop and do the eliminate your excuses exercise right now. Pause it now, baby. Did you do it? If you didn't pause and actually write this out, I want you to stop and do it now. I promise you are going to thank me later. All right, so let's move on now to our final strategy. Strategy number 3, action is magic. So now that we know exactly what you want and why you want it, and we've gone ahead and eliminated all your favorite excuses, it is time to get moving. Time to start building the big momentum. Because there is no way you're going to get that thing you most want by sitting around on your couch and dreaming about it, right? Unless, of course, the thing that you most want is just to sit around on your couch, in which case, rock on with your bad self. But for the rest of us, in order to bring any dream to life, we've got to take consistent, focused action. Doesn't matter what you'd like to create or experience or change or achieve in your life. It's all honestly just a series of steps. Really. We human beings can get ourselves so twisted up in our minds, imagining how big or overwhelming or complex something's going to be. And we often feel paralyzed because we have no experience doing the thing that we want or need to do. Well, let me tell you something. Do not let the fact that you don't know what those steps are stop you. Or even if you kind of know the steps, but the vision, it just feels so big. Or you're afraid that just because you don't know where or how to get started, that does not have to stop you either. Because as of right now, I want you to adopt a certain belief, a certain conviction that I live my entire life by. And that conviction is this: everything is figure-outable. That's right. Everything is figure-outable. This is actually something my mom taught me, and she modeled for me when I was a little girl. And throughout my entire life, my entire career, that single concept has helped me create and achieve remarkable things. It's also helped me find creative solutions, quite honestly, when I found myself in impossible situations. And it's helped me get back up after mistakes and stumbles and falls, of which I make a lot. Because when you believe everything is figure-outable, when you treat any creative challenge like it's a treasure hunt and your job is to get out there and find that first clue, let me tell you, you will make yourself virtually unstoppable. Look, here's the deal. We are living in the most incredible time in human history where we have access to an ever-growing library of education and inspiration and information and tutorials and other people's ideas and solutions. And they're all available on demand through the internet. Right? The fact that you and I are connected right now, we're likely in completely different parts of the world, completely different parts of the planet. and you got this training for free. And honestly, if you really take these ideas and you run with them, they can profoundly change your life. I mean, how cool is that? There is so much beautiful and useful and collective wisdom that is globally accessible right now. So whether you want to learn how to grow your own food or build a website or a robot, you want to write a book, you want to learn meditation, you want to learn how to forgive or how to open a yoga studio or better manage your finances or learn a language or make your own freaking sauerkraut, you can do that. You can figure it out and you can start right now. In fact, I want to show you a very simple and highly effective brainstorming exercise that can help you get unstuck when and if there's a time that you can't seem to figure out how to move ahead. I call this exercise the Magic 20. And just for fun, I want you to give it a try right now. So go ahead and pull out a blank piece of paper or open your journal to a blank page. At the top of that page, write down once again that one thing you most want, that same one thing you wrote down earlier. And then underneath it, here's what you're going to do. Your goal is to list at least 20 different ways that you could get or create or achieve what you want. In other words, what could you do or are you willing to do to make this idea or this dream your reality? And anytime your mind starts to go in that zone of how this idea or this possibility or this action step that you're about to write down is stupid or is not possible, I want you to say next out loud and get back to brainstorming. In fact, the more dramatic and more crazy you can make that next, the better. Because I guarantee as you come up with creative ideas, you will likely hear a voice in your head that says, oh, I couldn't do that. That's too crazy for me. That's too bold. That's too outrageous. That's too whatever. And when that happens, and it will, just say next out loud and get back to writing. Now, the key point here is this. Do not edit yourself. Do not hold back on your creative ideas, especially if they're silly or they're wacky or they seem completely unreasonable at the moment. As long as the idea is morally and ethically sound, write it down. This is a brainstorming exercise, which means there are no bad or stupid ideas. And since this is called the Magic 20, I want you to challenge yourself to list at least 20 ideas, 20 action steps or possibilities or paths that will move you towards your goal. Do not quit at 7 or 8. I'm watching you. Don't do it. Because here's the truth. The creative gold often comes towards the end, right past the point when you think you're done and you don't think you have any more ideas to write down. So let's do this. Let's walk through a simple example together so you get the feel of it. Let's say what you want is to have $5,000 set aside in an emergency fund, and you'd like to have this complete within the next 12 months. So, top of your page, you write down your goal, $5,000 in savings in the next 12 months. Now, underneath it, you just want to challenge yourself to write down at least 20 ideas that can help you make that happen. 20 possible ways to reach that goal. Don't overthink this. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't get all crazy about what you're supposed to write. Just start writing down anything that comes to mind. So, for example, idea number 1 could be get a side job or 2 or 3, which is something I've done a lot in my life, especially when I was first getting started and I wanted lots of things. Idea number 2, if you run your own business, maybe you could launch a new product or a new service. If you work for a company or even if you're a freelancer, you could ask for a raise or raise your rates. Idea number 3, you could stop eating out. You could make all your meals at home. Idea number 4, you could get a roommate. Again, we're not looking for perfect ideas here. The goal is just to generate lots of ideas and lots of possible ways we could reach that goal or achieve our outcome, at least 20. So another idea, let's keep going. You could move in with family or friends temporarily, or you could downsize, move to a different neighborhood, or move to a completely different country altogether where the cost of living is a fraction of what you currently pay. You could run a bake sale every weekend or a garage sale, or thinking of that, you could sell your stuff on eBay, like jewelry and books and electronics and old clothes and old furniture. You could join a service like TaskRabbit here in the States and earn extra money on the side. You could talk with your friends about your goal and see if they have ideas or opportunities for you. If you have credit card balances, you could see about getting your interest rates lower to pay less per month. Stuff like that. So I think you get the concept here, right? The Magic 20 is simply a brainstorming exercise. It's just designed to get your creative juices pumping, to challenge you, really to go beyond just a few ideas and stretch yourself into new realms. Now, here's the reason this works. It works because it fires up your imagination. And your imagination, my friend, is the heartbeat of your soul. When you do this exercise full out, you start creating new possibilities for yourself. And it also helps you go a lot further than you might go on your own. You know, most of us would stop at 5 or 10 ideas, but to stretch for 20? I mean, that forces you to dig deep and be more creative and more outrageous. So if you haven't already, I want you to pause and do this exercise right now. Create your own Magic 20 and let your imagination just run wild. Put on some music if you want to, dance around, shake out your body, do whatever you need to do to get in a playful mood. All right? So I want you to go ahead, hit pause, and do it now. Okay, welcome back. Now that you've got your Magic 20, it is time to take action. Strategy number 3 is called Action is Magic for a reason. That's because having ideas is not enough. You set the entire universe in motion to support you when you put one foot in front of the other and do something to bring your dreams to life. And look, you do not have to know all the steps. You do not need to know how to complete the project or the dream that you have, but you do have to start now. Because one of my other life mantras is this, and this is so useful. Clarity comes from engagement, not thought. You will never figure out your truth or the best path ahead for you just by thinking about it. But the moment you start to physically move in the direction you want, you are going to unlock a flood of information and insights and next steps that simply can't be unlocked in any other way. And here's the best part. The path ahead for you is right in front of you right now. I can pretty much guarantee that as you work through your Magic 20 list, you will find the next best step to take. You're going to gain momentum and confidence and discover strengths and skills you never knew you had. And a little warning here. Do not skip any item on your Magic 20 list because it's outside of your comfort zone. Because guess what? You are going to have to stretch beyond what you're comfortable with right now in order to grow, in order to get anything that you want. Now, I know you know this already, but I did want to remind you. The way to get anything you want will emerge from taking action on that Magic 20 list. And here's the cool thing. Once you start taking action on those ideas, if you go down one path and you hit a speed bump or a roadblock or something doesn't work out as you hope, guess what? You have 19 other ideas to explore, 19 other possibilities that will undoubtedly bring you closer to your goal. And don't forget, you can also use this Magic 20 exercise to help you brainstorm possibilities and fire up your imagination about how to bring to life almost any idea you can dream up. It is simple and it works. So before we wrap up, there's one more thing that I want to cover. We need to talk about the F word and why it's essential to creating a life that you truly love. Now, the F word that I'm talking about is faith. Because as you move ahead, you're going to find that getting what you want requires you to be brave and put yourself out there with no proof and no assurances that things will go exactly as you plan. And I can pretty much guarantee that things won't go exactly as you planned and that you're going to hit some snags and snafus and some stumbling blocks along the way. And those very often can send you into a spiral of self-doubt. You might wonder, you'll think, can I really make this dream happen? Am I just nuts? Do I really have what it takes to see this goal through? Should I just give up and throw in the towel right now? I want you to hear this. These kind of thoughts, They are normal. It happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happens to every successful person that I've had the opportunity to connect with. But listen, it is during your toughest times, during your darkest hours, that it is crucial you learn to flex your faith muscles. Because faith, my friend, is a powerful force. It's a transformative force. And flexing your faith muscles means tapping into the strength and power of something that is in you, but not of you. Now, you might call that power God or the universe or divine consciousness or something else. But no matter what you call it, I think we can all agree that there is a greater intelligence at work in our lives. A beautiful and benevolent and magical force that orchestrates and animates every single thing around us. And it is my belief that this unseen force is intrinsically and unquestionably designed to work on our behalf. You know, a place where I can get twisted up sometimes and get disconnected from my faith is when I start to feel crushed under the pressure and the stress from thinking about everything that I need to create or produce or how I need to perform in my business. It can feel overwhelming and sometimes, honestly, a little paralyzing. But my friend Marianne Williamson taught me something quite profound about this. In fact, the first time I heard it, it instantly brought me to tears. She said, "Whenever I feel by myself, whenever I think, oh, I don't know what my next book is going to be about, or I don't know what I'm going to say at this next lecture," she said, "I realized I've disconnected from my power source. I've disconnected from my faith." And then I remembered this simple prayer that says, "I'm the faucet and God's the water," meaning that I am the container through which all of this creativity flows. Beautiful, right? The first time I heard that, I felt such a huge weight lift off my shoulders. And it's become a prayer and a practice for me as well. So now in my life, whenever I'm working on a project, anything in my life when I'm feeling stunted or like things aren't going my way, I reconnect to my faith through this simple prayer. I say, "I am the faucet, God's the water." And that simple shift in my thinking reconnects me to my faith. It allows me to open myself up so that a greater intelligence, a higher intelligence, can work through me. So please, do not forget your faith when times are tough. Do not make the mistake of believing that you are alone, because you are not. Do not make the mistake of believing that you must carry the weight of the world solely on your shoulders, because you do not. A higher power and a greater spiritual truth is always at work, whether you practice your faith through prayer or meditation or by taking a walk in nature or through some other means. Practice it. Because like any muscle, faith gets stronger the more you use it. And no matter what might be happening in our lives, remember that we always get to choose how we'll think about it. We have the power to believe that something else is possible and have faith that things can and will change. So let's do a review, shall we? Today you learned 3 strategies to create the courage and the confidence to build your dreams on your terms. Strategy number 1, decide what you want. And remember, clarity equals power. Strategy number 2 is eliminate excuses. This is where we talked about can't versus won't, and I walked you through an exercise to eliminate excuses that can hold you back. Strategy number 3, action is magic. This is where I shared my mantra, everything is figure-outable. You learned about the Magic 20 brainstorming exercise, and I want you to use that whenever you find yourself stuck for ideas on how to move ahead. And finally, we talked about the power of faith and how there is more at work for us and more at work for our highest good than we could ever know. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so honored that we're connected, and I really, truly hope I can continue to serve you as you build your dreams. Now, if you'd like to keep going and you want to know more about our other training programs, come on and visit me over at marieforleo.com. And if you happen to get this session from a friend or a family member, be sure to subscribe to our email list over there too, because once you're subscribed, you'll become one of my MF Insiders, which means you'll get access to private subscriber-only Q&As, some freebies and giveaways, and first access to brand new products and pilot programs and scholarships or any appearances. Finally, I would love to hear from you. Tell me, how have you used this training to create change in your life? You can send me your story of change to stories@marieforleo.com. That's STORIES @marieforleo.com. Stay on your game and keep going for your dreams, because the world needs that special gift that only you have. I'll talk to you soon.